my channel. I recently spoke about the relationship between creator and consumer and how volatile it has become in the social media age, where people's obsessions are laid out and people are quick to project themselves onto these celebrities and influencers and what have you. Today I want to narrow that focus down a bit and talk about just when people make their personality around a show or a piece of art, or mostly a show or a movie, and they identify strongly with said character or person, whatever the case may be. As an English major and someone who got her degree in English and in business marketing, as previously said in the video, I believe that my generation and the generation before me, I'm a millennial, our generation's proclivity to identify really strongly with characters is all at once a great thing and a bad thing. When I say great, I mean it's good that people are using art, literature, movies, media, whatever medium you consume art in, to explore both themselves, their personalities, their likes and dislikes, what have you. That's the way it's been. That's fantastic. It becomes a problem, however, when these younger people don't understand how to separate themselves or make their own personality separate from a character or an actor or whatever the case is. The problem becomes when they are unable to distinguish themselves from the character, and we see this with people who identify strongly with brands mostly. And this is called the love mark, and brands want to be this love mark for you because they want your business, one, and they want you to love them, even if they know their product is inferior or some way. They know you're gonna just immediately go for that thing, and they prefer that. So this is psychology as well. In my experience, I have seen myself detach myself from situations where I realized I was overly obsessing over a character on a show or a movie or what have you when I was much younger, a teenager and younger. And once I got to college and I took marketing and I took English, and I realized how to analyze works and not be consumed by the work, and separate myself from both the message in the message, either intended or not, in the work and the author's views themselves, I was able to form my own theories and opinions and analysis and a sense of self not associated with the art I consume. I see it a lot on social media. Younger kids are watching TV shows, Netflix, whatever the case is, and they're strongly identifying with the characters on the screen, which is, again, a great thing. It can help those who are unable to do so for themselves yet figure out what their values are, what their likes and dislikes are, and what have you. But it is very important that with that, at some point, they learn to differentiate between the fact that this is a medium you're consuming, and this is the real world where things might not be that black and white or that cookie cut. And especially on Twitter is a fantastic example of where I see that these lines are very blurred, or people just don't want to do the work to separate their opinions or a character's views from their own, and they don't want to do the work to identify what their own thoughts and feelings are separate from the opinions of others. There's something on Twitter or other social media, but I'm using Twitter because I go on it the most, that I call groupthink, where if there's someone you admire on the site and you hold them to high esteem for whatever reason, those could be their followers, it could be themselves or how they portray themselves online, and you have a differing opinion and you're too scared to post your opinion because you know the wrath of their followers or themselves will come down on you, and like that's groupthink, where you're scared to say your own opinion for fear of the backlash or cancel culture, or you'll be canceled. If you don't know by now, I don't agree with cancel culture. I don't agree that people are held to these ridiculous standards, and I feel like this proclivity to identify so strongly with celebrities, arts, or whatever, what have you, is where the detriment lies and where we're getting lost in between. There's no space for nuance. There's no space for variety. Everything is black and white. Everything is good and bad, and that's not how any reasonable, logical adult knows. This video is not toward people with learning disabilities, people with ADHD, people who cannot help but to project or to cling to characters in the media. This is for people who don't have, as far as they know, any kind of disorder like that, and they are of the right mind to make their own decisions, but they don't understand self-esteem, they don't understand self-awareness, and they don't yet understand emotional intelligence. And all these things are very important in creating a stronger sense of self. If you've ever seen any of my rants on Twitter, online, I've made it very clear in the past that I do not hold to the notion that anybody should kiss my butt, because I'm a person. I'm not anyone special. And just because I write vampire books doesn't mean that I am the foremost authority on vampires. Just because I like vampire movies and horror movies does not mean I am a horror girl or a horror aficionado or whatever. I just like horror movies and I just like vampires. I'm not going to talk about the people that do call themselves that. That's not what this video is about. This video is focusing on the projection of oneself onto art, and not knowing how to separate oneself from this art in a more personalized sense. The other video was more broad. This one is narrowing that focus down to a, I hope, more reasonable focus. So like I was saying, if you realize upon watching this video that you have say you watch Game of Thrones and you identified very strongly with Daenerys, and the last season came and you did not like what the writers did with her character, and you felt angry, like horribly, terribly angry, and you even went so far as to search out that actress's interviews and search out like little pictures and things and see, oh, she's mad about her role, she's mad about what she had to do in that episode, and she's mad about and you start to pick out things that you want to put onto the actor themselves and say, look, I'm justified in my anger because the actor themselves, who I'm projecting my personality onto, feels the same way, even though you have no way of knowing if they feel that way, unless they say it in an interview, and even then you don't really know. You have no way of knowing what their real thoughts are on any season or their work. So I saw a lot of that going on when Game of Thrones, this final season, aired, and I just have to say that I really thought that the petition that was going around to, even though it wasn't serious, the petition that was going around to have them redo the entire season was just ridiculous. As a creator myself, as a writer myself, I would be kind of hurt that so many people didn't like my work. And again, me being hurt doesn't mean I'm going to cry and boo-hoo. It just means, oh man, I'm disappointed because people didn't like this work I put all my time and effort into. I'm not saying nobody can have their own opinions. I'm not saying anyone's wrong for thinking the way they think. I was looking at it from a creator myself. I thought it was ludicrous that people I saw people demanding, they were demanding that they do this whole season over, even though it would cost so much money to do, and it would be unfair to the cast and crew and the workers behind the scenes and everyone. I just thought that was a bit ridiculous, and the hate that the writers themselves got, even though George R.R. Martin himself has not finished his own books, was vitriolic. It was ridiculous to me. I sat back and I watched that and I just shook my head, and the demand that people have, like I said in the previous video, the demand people have toward creators is insane. It needs to stop. And going back to my Daenerys analogy or example, these people were so engrossed in this world that HBO brought to life through a visual medium. So they felt betrayed, denied whatever they were hoping they could get from this final season. It was years in the making, obviously. I'm not sharing my opinion on the season because that's not what this video is about. But anyway, they were upset about what happened, and the reaction to it was, I think, kind of ludicrous. Like I said, I thought everyone who didn't like the season up to a certain point could just tune out, stop watching. Some people did that. I did see some people say they weren't watching anymore, but I did see quite a bit of other people saying, we're gonna watch it through, we're gonna talk about it all we want because it's our right and we deserve to see how they end it and bitch about it, which it totally is your right to do that. But it also makes me question why you like to torture yourself, like why you like to revel in this negativity. And I mean, we all know why. People are miserable. They want to feel validated. They want to feel validated in their anger. They want to show that they're smarter or more important than other people, and they want to, oh, see, that scene was too dark. You couldn't see anything. They should have did that better. You weren't there. You don't know. You weren't lighting it. You weren't doing it. You don't know. So a lot of these opinions were that's what an opinion is, an unfounded remark, but they were breaking the line of just an opinion. It was straight up hate toward the writers. It was straight up hate toward what they had the actors go through, whatever people think the actors went through. It was just, at any turn, everywhere you turn, people were giving their opinions about the season, but they were also going a step further and bashing, literally wishing death. I saw some people wishing death on them and bashing the writers, and then they scared the writers off from doing a Star Wars, Star Trek movie. That's ridiculous to me. No one is gonna make art that you 100% are cool with, but we have to be more open and allowing people the space to not be the art we want, because the art you want is out there. It's just not going to be this final season of Game of Thrones. There's a million books, fantasy books out there. If you don't want to read George R.R. Martin's books, there's a million fantasy shows long forgotten out there that you can find and watch and see if you like it. There's so many more things out there. I just thought it was very silly and a waste of energy and time to be so upset about something that you personally had no control over or stake in. Like, I know people say, oh, I'm a fan, or I supported this thing, so I have every right to share my distaste with it, which you absolutely 100% do, but you have to also realize that no one owes you your point of view. No one owes you especially creators, like, they don't owe you your anger. They don't owe you the change you wanted to. They don't owe you change. They wrote the best story. They told the best story. They made the best art. They made the best music or whatever they could. And then it's up to you to decide if you will accept it or not. And it's perfectly fine if you don't accept it. But there has to be a line between I don't accept this and the person who made this should die or never work again. That's where it gets ridiculous. Like, you need to step back, separate yourself from the situation, and realize you're screaming into a void that other people are screaming into, and it's making this mob mentality, and it's making you all look like terrible people. And I hate to use that word, but anybody wishing death on anyone, I don't care what they've done, is just not, that will never be okay with me. That will never be cool, because it's so easy to do that too. It's so easy to be like, it puts you on a high horse. You're like, oh yeah, that person did something so awful, they deserve to die. I'm of the viewpoint that if someone does something so awful, they need to pay for it by going to prison or getting the death penalty, having that be their end. I'm not a fan of vigilante justice. I'm not a fan of, oh yeah, let's go kill that person. That's ridiculous. Like, let's not, because there are people out there who, if they're egged on, they will go do that exact thing because a bunch of people on Twitter said that person should die. Like, we need to really think about what we say, because that really does matter. And I don't think it's okay to just continuously be this way, or continuously make these claims, or continuously say, oh, this was awful, this was the worst thing in the world, and the person who made this should die. That's when it gets a bit too much, and that's when you have to step back and realize, hey, is this something I want to have on my name? I want, like, somewhere down the line, like, is this on Twitter and everybody can see this years from now? Or is this something that is too much? This is not who I am. This is not my personality. This is not my character. This isn't who I want to be. Like, you need to step back and realize that the characters in these movies and TV shows and everything, or even the actors themselves, you don't know them. They don't owe you anything. You may identify with certain aspects of them. Representation is a word that gets thrown around a lot, and like I said in the previous video, I'm all for representation, but that cannot be the only thing. It has to be a good book, TV show, movie, whatever. Just throwing a black person or a Asian person or whatever person into work is not going to get me to watch it or read it or whatever the case, because that's just pandering, and I don't like to be pandered to. And I don't like the bullet points that we do now, where if you have to say, I'm a bisexual author, I write this, I have a gay character, I have this and that. Like, I prefer you to read the book yourself and come across it and be like, oh, this is so exciting. Because when I wrote my Dark World series, I didn't stop to think, oh, I have to put this character in here and put that character in there, because Twitter and Tumblr are gonna, like, not read my book for a while, because and that was true. That was a thing that was happening when I was in the middle of writing the series. Tumblr decided that they're not going to read any work that doesn't feature a black character on the cover. As you know, my books do not feature black characters. My black characters on the cover. So I'm sitting there like, well, I'm 8 out because my covers don't have black characters, and that's a really narrow and shallow way of consuming art. I feel like making it about, like, I know we want to see ourselves on screen, we want to see ourselves in books and everything, but I'm like I said in the previous video, I maintain that we should make our own art if we really want to see ourselves. And let's think about that also. How can you say you want to see yourself? You want to see a facet of yourself, you want to see a gay person, you want to see a black person, you want to see a Spanish person on screen. Are they angry? Are they happy? Are they nice people? Like, what do you know what I mean? Like, you can't just say, oh, this has an Indian person, I have to watch it. This Indian person may be the bad guy, they may be the worst character ever written, and then you're gonna go leave the movie theater and be like, oh, it was crap, they completely ruined Indian people. But another Indian person might like it. Like, you have to, like, nobody can put you into their work. You can't ask for your hair, your eyes, your clothes, your personality, blah, blah, blah. If you want to see yourself in something, like I said before, write it, make it, draw it, whatever the case is. That's the only way you're gonna get yourself in it. And then if you don't or can't do that, then you have to ask yourself if this crusade to be represented is something that is really coming from, like, an empty place in you, or if it's really coming from a place where you want to pass on some torch or whatever the case is. Like, for me, I wrote my books when I was 16 because I wanted books with vampires and werewolves and dragons, giants, and mermaids. Literally, that's it. It's a selfish reason, but I sat down and I did the work for years, and I wrote the books. I'm still writing them now, but I wrote the books, and this is the idea of vampires and werewolves and dragons and giants was just cool to me. My 16-year-old brain said, this is cool, this is what I want to do, I'm gonna do it. So I did it. So only now, because it's more politically correct to talk about race and everything, only now am I realizing that I put a bunch of black characters in there, I put a bunch of Spanish characters in there, there's a bunch of white characters in there, yes, I put a bunch of whatever I wanted in there, but I never stopped to think, oh, is this progressive? Like, I never thought that way. I just wrote the story I wanted to tell. And you have to just let the artists make the art they want to tell. We cannot keep demanding to see ourselves in this art that doesn't help the people who are making their art. It's not to say that we want to live in, like, artists should live in a bubble and never take in anyone's opinion or anyone's feedback or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. That's why feedback and beta readers exist. But like, I know a bunch of authors have like had their books shelved and just lost their contracts because early arcs came out, and these they're younger, these younger white young adult readers were just like, no, this is so wrong, this can't happen. And the author was writing, I forgot what it was, but the author was writing from her, she had went through the awful thing, and she wrote the story from her perspective. And what the publisher and her did was just go back, rewrite it, get some delicacy, I forgot what it's called, delicacy readers or whatever, like the people who make sure things are like good or whatever, like not, or PC, I guess, and had them see if it was okay. They actually ended up like just putting out the story anyway, and the publisher's message was really great to me. It really stood out to me, and it was basically, hey, we're gonna do this thing, the book is still coming out. We asked our readers that you can share your opinions and thoughts, but we cannot police difficult stories, because then where are all the stories gonna go, you know? And I really appreciate that, because in this current climate of if you don't write a story with a clearly defined, this is good, this is bad, you're a horrible person world, like, people are scared to put pen to paper, people are scared to write now. And that personality disarray, that like the tying your personality so strongly to art and to books and to movies and to work and to other people's work is, one, very strange, and two, it just needs to stop. Like, it's just, as a writer, as an author myself, it's just very strange to me, and it's not allowing for people to be creative. It's not allowing for people to explore the themes they want to explore, no matter how dark it is. Myself personally, all of my characters, all of my books, all of my stories are pretty dark. They deal with themes that you might not find appealing. I do not believe in, like, I don't want to say I don't believe in a happy ending, but my characters go through a lot, mentally, physically. There's a lot of action and fighting in all of my books and everything, and I like to explore darker themes, and I will never shy away from that just because someone isn't comfortable with those themes. I don't do trigger warnings. If you pick up the book, you're gonna read it, and if you don't like it, then I would hope that you just put it down and you give it to someone who would like it. You don't leave a flaming review somewhere saying that I'm the worst person in the world because I wrote a book years ago or whatever that you didn't like. I've seen careers ruined before they even start because 10 people online thought that this book shouldn't exist while they're not doing anything with their life. Making your personality this tirade, this anger, this everything has to be perfect, everything has to be what I want it to be or else it's wrong, is not the way to exist. It's tiring, like I said in the previous video, it's draining. You can't expect everyone to think the same way you do. We kind of have to like not be so up in arms about art, because there are way more important things going on right now. Above all, we should be staying safe, we should be staying inside, we should be consuming art, yeah, but we cannot be vilifying the people who make it, because in this time when everyone's stuck inside, or I hope you're stuck inside, if everyone's stuck inside, you're watching these people's labors of love, so you're reading these people's labors of love, and if you don't like that labor of love, you going to the author and telling them you hated their book and you think they're a terrible person does not do anything for anyone but make them feel like crap and make you seem like a loser, because you came and said something you should have kept to yourself. And the author has no regard to you to give you whatever you're looking for. They just simply wrote a story they wanted to tell, they wanted to share it, you consumed it. If you don't like it, that's just how it goes sometimes, and that's it. That's just what it has to be. And I just hope that whoever's watching this, if you've never thought about it before, now you are, or you have, and you're realizing the ways that you might have attached yourself to a certain character, or to a certain author, or to a certain whatever. And end of the day, real life exists, and you cannot tie your entire self or self-worth to these characters, because they're just figments of another person's imagination. Yeah, we can take great themes from them and everything, and we can do great analysis on them, we can think about things critically, but to make them your whole entire world where you talk about nothing but the character, or every other word out of your mouth is something the character says or a catchphrase. It just becomes tiresome to everyone else around you, and it just behooves you to figure out who you are without this media propping you up, like being your backbone, because that's normally when things get cloudy and people can get hurt because of some things you may say, and under this cloud of this character is perfect and they can do no wrong, or this character is awful and must be killed, and the author must be killed because they wrote it. Like, we have to separate that, and that's not okay. So I hope I made myself pretty clear. I feel like I kind of jumped around a bit, but I'm excited to put this out. This was a long one again. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like more of these Blood Talk vlogs where I talk about my thoughts on consumer culture and my books and how they relate to the media, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will have a lot more coming soon. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.